Hi, thank you so much for joining me today live on Periscope, the app through Twitter that helps you live stream things like this. This is the Inside Scope. It replaces the free monthly call I used to do. That just was a way for me to help answer questions that come up for you in your real life. And this is a lot more fun because it's interactive. You can press the screen to push hearts out to me and tell me that I'm on the right track. You can send me comments and questions while I'm talking, so please do that. Thank you. I love the interaction and it really helps make this a lot of fun. The Inside Scope does happen. It's a regular thing, third Thursday every month, and you can send your questions by going to tiffanyhammond.com/the Inside Scope. If you're watching this on the recording, you're probably seeing something up here pop up. You can go right through that link and send me your questions so you can appear on next month's episode. This question actually came to me in December, but I saved it for January because I think it's really apropos for the new year and moving forward. The question comes from Doug in Michigan. How can I consistently beat procrastination and get more organized? Sounds great, right? Don't we all have that problem? And let me tell you, everybody that I have talked to has said that 2015 was rough stuff. So it is no surprise to me at all that come January, everybody I talk to is like, I can't get motivated. I cannot move forward. I am exhausted all the time. So no surprise that if collectively we were all worn out, collectively we all just need to take a beat, right? So what we're going to talk about today, though, I'm going to dissect the verbiage because word choice matters, right? In this question, remember the question is, how can I consistently beat procrastination and get more organized? So those of you who are on live, tell me right off the bat, when I say the word procrastination, what comes up for you? What do you think procrastination means? What are some of the emotional responses you feel when you see yourself procrastinating? Lazy is one. Undisciplined. Unfocused. What's wrong with me? Right? Disappointment. Oh, that's huge. That is huge. Yes, that's a really good one. So you can see guilt. Oh my God. Yes, we feel guilty, don't we? Why am I putting this off? If I have said that this is the best thing for me, my future, my business, my family, whatever, why the heck am I not taking action on it? What is wrong with me, right? Guilt is huge. So you can see right off the bat that even by using the word procrastination, we have some judgment of ourselves. Even when we say, oh, wow, I'm really procrastinating right now. We're immediately judging ourselves, which, is an energy depleter. It's really hard to get yourself going when you're beating yourself down. Yeah, it's hard to get up when you're beating yourself down. So I think what's important here is recognizing that already we're dealing with something that's very emotionally charged. I'm going to give you a new word. It's pretty cool. It's Akrasia. It's actually a word. I swear to the heavens that it is actually a word. Akrasia. And it is the phenomenon, the psychological phenomenon that values your now self more than it values your future self. So basically it's the tendency, or here actually I looked up the actual definition. It says, state of acting against one's better judgment. So when your better judgment says, if I want to build a good business, or if I want to create a better eating habits at home, I want a meal plan. If your better judgment is saying, I want to do these things, I want to make these changes, I want to create something, that's your better judgment. Logic says you would just go, okay, well, if that's what my better judgment says, then I will do X, Y, and Z to get there. Well, Akrasia says, screw it. Right? Akrasia says, well, yeah, that's what future self wants, but I don't give a hoot about that. Right now, I want a donut, or right now, I want a nap, or whatever those things are, right? So the important thing to remember is, first of all, we're going to replace procrastination with a word that we have no emotional charge to, Akrasia. Okay? So now already we're just a little bit more objective about this. I saw some hearts there. It's my crazy laughter, right? I have the biggest laugh. My kids tell me it's how they find me in the grocery store when they get lost, because they know I'm going to make a friend and laugh, so they just follow the laughter. I love it. So already we're changing the word procrastination to Akrasia. So what I want you to understand about human behavior is that we have a tendency to, and it makes sense, right? If you've ever looked at like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's a big triangle. If you already know it, then I'm preaching to the choir here, but really it's a big triangle that shows our basic needs as human beings are in survival. Those are in the lower echelons of this pyramid. So survival, food, clothing, water, shelter, right? And then as we move up into the middle of it, what we really need is to have some sort of social community. So friends, family, neighbors. And then as we come into our full human essence, as we come into the full capabilities we are as human beings, we move closer and closer to the tippy top, which is self-actualization. So what's going on during that self-actualization? We're finding purpose. We're asking bigger questions. We're coming to understand ourselves better, and in understanding ourselves better, we're understanding others better. So while all of this is really important to the human condition, while all this is important to the human experience, what I want you to recognize is that straight out of the gate, our immediate needs are physical. Our now self needs gratification. So coming to grace about this idea of procrastination, that we're now calling Akrasia, right? Coming to grace about this means that we understand we have generations upon generations of human beings that have just had to survive. We are in a very unique era in human history where pretty much even our poorest of the poor have more than the richest of us used to have. I mean, since the caveman days, it's been all about survival. So we are now at a place where we get to think about who's in my community, what am I building in friendships, who am I as a person, what is my purpose? These are unique questions. These are unique explorations. So we don't have in our habit, in our muscle memory, in our genes, in essence, a well-established habit toward asking and answering those questions. So what happens when we make a better judgment? If I want a better business, or I want a better body, or I want a better family, or whatever those things are for us, when we're looking forward, we've already kind of met the physical requirements for that. Everything else looks like a matter of discipline, right? Everything else looks like a matter of, if I could just suck it up and get through this, I should be able to do it. But what happens when we stretch ourselves, when we reach for something bigger, we begin to expand into those higher echelons in Maslow's hierarchy of needs that we're not well equipped for, that we don't have a habit for, and that we don't have a culture that supports it. Does that make sense to you? We're really going into uncharted territory, yeah? So the reason we want to even come into grace about this idea of Akrasia, this idea of this the need to stretch and grow into the next phase of whatever it is we're asking of ourselves. The reason we even do that is because the more we fight something, the more of that something we create. What we resist in life persists in life. Yeah. You know how that is. You know how that is. Absolutely. So listen again. I'm going to read the question again. Listen to the verbiage. How can I consistently beat procrastination and get more organized? Now, we've already replaced procrastination with Akrasia. How can I consistently beat Akrasia and get more organized? So I'm going to change one more word. I'm going to change that beat to accept. How can I consistently accept Akrasia and get more organized? Really, all I'm asking you to do is accept yourself right where you are. Accept yourself as that person who has made a decision, a judgment call to stretch yourself, to grow yourself, to do something bigger. And what that means is that what sometimes comes next is a cycle of dormancy, right? It's a phase in the cycle where it's time to rest and let that settle in and really sink in. Can I grow into that? Can I be that thought leader? Can I build that business on my own? I've always been an employee. Can I be that kind of mom that does that? I don't know. We need some time to let that integrate and settle into our bones before we can actually move forward and work toward that. So How can I consistently accept Akrasia and get more organized? Now that I get more organized almost seems easier because we're not battling something. We're not trying to make something out of nothing. We're not trying to beat ourselves down while we're telling ourselves to lift ourselves up, right? What you can begin to do is think of yourself as more of, so I'm a business owner, obviously, right? And part of what I do for my work week is I have a day where I'm the boss. I have several days where I'm the implementer, and then I have a day where I'm the analyst. So on the day that I'm the boss, I'm looking big picture. I'm saying, according to my better judgment, what's my plan look like? What's really important about where I'm at right now? The next few days I'm implementing. I'm, of course, coaching clients, but I'm also working on my marketing plan. I'm creating content. And then on the day that I'm an analyst, I go back and I say, what worked? What felt good? What wore me out? And what do I want to do more of? And then the day that I'm a boss again, I'm looking at those analytics going, what worked? What do we need more of? Does that make sense? These are cycles. But you see, if I was looking at my role at the time that I'm an analyst and I'm looking at this data, it would be really easy for me to criticize myself and say, I should have been implementing. On that day, I should have been creating something. I'm putting off that thing I don't like. So when we accept that not only this idea of Akrasia and that's inherent to who we are, but when we accept too that we're also constantly growing and stretching ourselves into these new roles, we get to see these separate sections of these cycles and that they're all natural and that they're all normal. So for you, I'm a boss. That's what makes sense to me, right? I have my own business. So what I just described to you, that suits for me. But what I want you to, maybe you can use the metaphor as a baker. So as a baker, you make the meal plan, or as the cook in your house, you make the meal plan, right? That's your be the boss. And then on the days that you implement, you're going to go out there, you're going to grocery shop, maybe you're going to price shop, you're going to find some of your best recipes, maybe you're going to pre-make or pre-cut some of the things that you want to do on the day that you're making your big meal. And on the day that you make your big meal, you're going to do those last bits of implementation, get everything in the pot, and then you're going to put it in the oven. And while it's in the oven, you don't have anything to do. That's not procrastination. That's a natural part of your cycle. And if during that time you want to go take a nap because you just wore yourself out, then you need a nap. If during that time you want to fold napkins because you're excited that people are coming over and you'll just learn how to make a napkin look like a Christmas tree, then that's what you're going to do. But what you do when you use this metaphor in your life is you start to see these regular cycles as a part of everything you're growing yourself into. Does that make sense? Do you see how we're no longer fighting it, we're accepting it. We're saying this is natural. Good, I'm glad it makes sense to you. We're saying this is natural, and as long as it's natural, maybe I don't like it, maybe I wish I was go, go, go all the time, but I can't be, right? I can't be go, go, go all the time. That's not the way anything in nature works. We talked about this in yesterday's scoping out that I have on Wednesdays at 8:30 Mountain Time every week. Everything has its dormancy cycle. Everything does. It's necessary. It's part of how we grow. The only thing that keeps Akrasia in place is the fight against Akrasia. That's the only thing that keeps it there, is this mental dialogue that you have that you shouldn't be there, that it's not right, that it's not healthy, that you're weak, that you're undisciplined, you're disappointed, you feel guilty, right? All those things that came up. The only thing that keeps you there in that cycle is your own battle. So I want you to start watching, okay? I want you to watch this language. When you begin to see, oh, I really fight with that, or I don't have the time for that fight right now, or I just can't I can't choose that battle. We choose our battles, right? I can't take on that struggle right now. Stop then, don't struggle. How is this normal? How is this a natural part of being a human being? And once you recognize how it's natural and it's okay, you can come to grace. And guess what? There are a lot of things in life we don't have the answers to, and it's our job to come to grace anyway. So even if you don't know the psychology behind it, you can't replace your own procrastination with the word Akrasia. And sometimes we need reminding that there could be something else going on here that I'm not privy to. That doesn't mean I have to have all those answers to have grace with myself in this process. So the next word we're going to replace is consistently. So I just talked about that need to be on all the time, right? Remember the question, how do I consistently beat, which we just changed to accept, procrastination. We changed to Akrasia. So now we're going to change it. How do I simply accept Akrasia and get more organized? How do I simply accept Akrasia and use it to my advantage? Doesn't that sound more empowering? Doesn't that sound like you actually have a choice here? Doesn't that sound like you're with the flow instead of against the flow? How can I simply accept Akrasia and use it to my advantage? So we've totally turned this whole thing around, haven't we? We've totally made this big battle, this big fight against something that, yeah, we don't like it. It's uncomfortable. That's not a side of ourselves we like to see, especially if we're go-getters and we're content creators and we have kids and we're telling them, you just got to do, right? And we have this dialogue about who we think we should be. And when we loosen that up and we look at who we really are, suddenly we have more bandwidth. Suddenly we can actually go ahead and do those things. Or we can simply take that nap we need because we wore ourselves the heck out. And that's okay. So those are the main ideas that I want to get across to you here. Watch your word choice. When you find an emotionally charged word, go ahead and replace it. It's not denial. It's not trying to pretend it's not what it is. It's taking away the emotional story that's already dragging you down. If you can't replace it, make up a nonsense word. Who cares? This is about you coming to grace so that you can create the bandwidth that does what you wanted in the first place, which is get your butt in gear, right? Then you watch the other words, the little words that are just part of your everyday vernacular. Are you constantly in a struggle? No wonder you're exhausted. Are you constantly fighting against who you are? No wonder you feel guilty, right? Yeah, we feel this. This is so true. It's part of our everyday experience. So all you need to do, all you want to do is just begin to notice this dialogue that goes on in your head. Where can I choose different words? If you remember, I think it was the inside scope. I don't think it was the scoping out. I think it was last month's or 2 months ago. Inside Scope, where we talked about word choice matters. In fact, if you're interested, you can go to triffanyhammond.com. Remember, it's Triffany, just like Tiffany with an R, hammond.com / word choice matters. And you can download a little cheat sheet that I made just real quick that shows you use and instead of but, want to instead of have to. These little shifts in our mindset create so much bandwidth you wouldn't believe it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So all of a sudden you realize all this onerous energy you've been putting on yourself for a word. So go check that out. Since we're talking about word choice here, that was a whole different topic. I think that was surviving the holidays, wasn't it? So yeah, what we're doing now that we've got these basics in mind, I'm getting to the to-do list right now because everybody goes, okay, that's great. So I've changed my mindset, but what the hell do I do with it, right? So I did go ahead and make another cheat sheet. Simple. It's nothing complicated. I went ahead and made a list. I'm going to put it on my blog when I upload this video to YouTube and then put the video on my blog. I'll go ahead and put a link to the PDF. You can print it off if you want to. But here's a little reminder about what we talked about. And a little bit extra, okay? Before I read these off, before I give this to you, I want to remind you this particular opportunity, it's free. Send me a question. You've got a question, you're stuck, go to triffanyhammond.com / the inside scope and send me your question and it'll go in the list. And if I can sum up several in one person's question, that's what I like to do best. And I try to get to as many as I can. And then the scoping out that I mentioned happens every Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. Mountain Time. And then, of course, we've got Conscious Transitions course is a home course in grief and growth for people who are moving away from something, trying to move into something. And also the Fail to Win course, just the January group just started. So that opens up again in September. You want to go to my website and check out those opportunities. So what you're going to do, use Akrasia. Here's how you spell it, by the way. Let's see if I can get this up here. See? Akrasia. A-K-R-A-S-I-A. Telling you, I didn't make this up. Remember, there are larger cycles at work, right? Be the boss or the meal planner. Be the implementer or the shopper and the cook. Take the break, let it bake. Break down bigger steps into teeny tiny no-brainer steps. This is partially how we get rid of the struggle. Beating procrastination, right? Beating. This is how we accept. We accept that in these larger steps, there's tiny little things that are easily digestible that we can readily do. Set a 5-minute timer and do them in that. Promise to go through 3 mail pieces or line items or lunges or whatever it is. Just promise you, just 3. I can do 3. And then celebrate whatever progress you make. And what's going to happen when you first do this? Yeah, I did 3 lunges. Yeah, but, right? You're going to use that language change and change yeah, but to it's true that. I've got a whole tool I work on in the Fail to Win program. It's a lot of fun and it changes things very quickly. Change your yeah, buts to it's true that. Yeah, but I didn't do 20. Well, it's true that I did lunges today, right? Allow yourself to feel your way through every stage of the cycle rather than think your way through. If you think your way through, you're going to have a whole list of shoulds, and that's going to feel heavy and onerous instead of looking at a list of coulds. So make a list of could-dos instead of to-dos. See what calls to you and do it. Get curious about what happens and what comes to mind when you choose what looks like an off-track item. And then trust yourself, trust yourself, trust yourself. I'll give you a quick example of what this looks like. I time block, so I say this is my marketing time, this is my content creation time. And I hit my marketing block one day and all I could think about was shampooing my carpets for some reason. It's all I could think about. I said, okay, fine. I'll shampoo my carpets. And I did, and I was in the process of, I was nearly finished. The whole time, mine's all over the place. I was nearly finished and I got this really great marketing idea. So trust yourself. Allow yourself to be called to something instead of go, yeah, but I should. Yeah, but I should. If you've been procrastinating so long, then there's muscle memory at work and you're going to want to shake it up. So if your procrastination has been playing a computer game instead of working at your computer, go grab your laptop and go to a coffee shop to work, right? Because what's happening is you've got muscle memory at play where the habit now is to just open up that game or whatever that thing is. So work somewhere else, or you could set new work cycles. Maybe work for 60 minutes at a time instead of 90 minutes at a time, or whatever. But set a new work cycle. Shake it up somehow. Or you can work totally different times of the day, like do your emails when you'd be exercising or exercise when you'd be doing your emailing. You know, whatever, shift things around. The idea is to bring presence back to it so you get out of that habit that kind of gets you stuck. Accept what works for you, regardless of whether it makes sense to others. You are going to hear from people that go, why don't you just, why? Now, sometimes those are really, and you're like, oh yeah, why don't I do that? That's awesome. But a lot of times people, we get stuck and we want to be right. So people who are out there doing things differently than you, they're not going to understand why you're doing what you do. You don't have to answer to them. If this gets you off your duff and gets you working again, after you've taken the break you need, right? Take the break you need. That was a mean face. Surround yourself with people who help you hold that larger vision, because sometimes you'll need reminding that you're already pretty friggin' wonderful, that sometimes there is a dormant cycle and it is time for a break, and that you've probably done more than you're willing to give yourself credit for. Yesterday in our scoping out, we talked about accepting the magical helpers and how to be a magical helper. I tell you what, I would not be where I'm at right now in my own personal development if I had not accepted magical help from beautiful people who help me hold that vision for what's possible for me when I have those times when I simply can't, when I'm just worn out, when I feel like I'm looking at the same problem through the same eyes day in and day out. So allow yourself to shift from the people who are trying to hold you to your old paradigm and surround yourself with people who are willing to see you as that potential in your new paradigm. That's crucial, crucial, crucial. And the last piece here is when you get off track, forgive yourself. Let it go. A friend of mine and I were talking just yesterday because we talked in kind of around the same subject yesterday at the scoping out. And I said, you know, the one way that I know it's time for me to get back on track is because I finally had an hour or a day or whatever where I could take that break and not feel guilty, right? Those first few hours and I'm like, oh geez, today I can't. Or maybe it's even been a couple days. I've done it that way too, where it's been a couple days and I'm just like, oh my God. Over the holidays, it was a couple of weeks, let's be honest, right? And when I get to that point and I'm feeling like I should, I'm not really taking a break, am I? I'm not really relaxing. I'm not really giving myself the regeneration I need to hit it full throttle when I'm ready to go. So my biggest clue is when I finally capitulate and I just completely, I give in and I'm just like, ugh, okay, today I'm taking a break and guess what? I don't even care. Oh, I just took a break. What's tomorrow look like? I'll tell you, it opens up. So the sooner you can forgive yourself for what you deem as something negative, change your story about it, lighten up, let it go. And what you're going to find is that you're back on track sooner than you ever even thought. So that's it for today. I'm so glad you're here. Let me know. I didn't have any questions. Saw a lot of hearts. Thank you so much. I'm glad you feel like this is on the right track and that it's helpful to you. Remember, if you're watching the video, go ahead and subscribe. You can come to my blog and get the downloadable. It's just a simple little sheet, but it's a really good reminder, and it's coming from this inward place, and we can let go that struggle. We can forgive ourselves. We can be kind, and we're going to do a lot better work for ourselves and for the world when we do that. So take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye.